It was a sunny morning, but a strange sense of boredom hung heavy in the Healer household. Bluey and Bingo roamed aimlessly, unable to settle on a game. No amount of chasing or hide-and-seek could spark their usual joy. Bluey remembered a dusty old cupboard where Bandit had recently put some things. Inside the cluttered cupboard, tucked behind forgotten boxes and toys, they found it, a bulky, ancient television set. Its screen was convex, the casing scratched, as if it had survived countless forgotten years. Curiosity won out. Somehow they found a suitable outlet and plugged it in. The TV crackled, glowed blue, and then the familiar Bluey title sequence appeared on the screen. But something was wrong. The colors were dull, as if faded, the sound slightly distorted, and the title music strangely sorrowful and drawn out. The episode began. It was titled 1. On screen, Bluey and Bingo appeared, but they were eerily silent, their eyes seeming empty. They simply sat in their room, staring out a window where a strange gray storm raged beyond the glass. A storm that never existed in their vibrant world. The longer they watched, the more their own room changed around them. Colors faded, turning as gray as those on the screen. Sounds from the television, the howling wind, strange, quiet sighs began to merge with the sounds of their own room. The air grew colder, bringing with it the smell of dust and something stale, as if they themselves had stepped inside the old cupboard. The figures of Bluey and Bingo on screen now seemed to be looking directly at them, with the same chilling emptiness in their eyes. Suddenly, the TV Bluey slowly raised a paw and pressed it against the screen. In that very instant, the real Bluey felt an icy touch on her cheek. The screen flickered, the image distorted, and instead of TV Bluey, there was now only her own frightened reflection superimposed on the gray, raging world. Bingo, eyes wide, also saw her reflection, pale, distorted, as if she was being pulled into the screen. On the screen, behind their reflections, that same pale, gaunt silhouette with huge empty eye sockets slowly materialized. It stood directly behind their TV versions, and its gaze seemed to pierce through the screen, directly into their souls. The room finally darkened completely, plunging into the same gloom as outside the window in the missing episode. The girls lunged for the TV, trying to pull the plug, but it seemed to be fused into the outlet. The screen pulsed and a nasty clinging cold began to envelop them. Their bodies felt weightless, being pulled forward. In the last moment before their vision blurred, they saw their parents Chili and Bandit on the screen. But they were as gray and silent as the Bluey and Bingo from the missing episode. Their eyes were empty too. The world spun and the girls felt a sensation of falling. When they could finally open their eyes, they were surrounded by the same gray, raging storm they had seen on the screen. And in their own room on the couch sat two figures, silent, unmoving, with empty eyes. They stared out the window where a strange gray storm raged beyond the glass. And on the old dusty television, the familiar Bluey title sequence began again. But this time the episode was titled 2. It's a sunny day. Bluey and Bingo are playing treasure hunt in the backyard. Bingo trips over something. Beneath the fallen leaves they find a small wooden door. It looks old, covered in moss, as if it had never been there before. The door is slightly ajar. Beyond it there's darkness. What's that? Bingo whispers. Bluey carefully pushes the door open. A narrow dark passage is revealed, leading down stone steps. From below, a faint mournful whisper drifts up. Hello, Bluey calls. A voice from below answers. It's a child's voice. It sounds as if it's calling for help, but the words are indistinct. Bluey looks at Bingo. There's someone down there. Bingo steps back. I'm scared. Bandit and Chili call them for lunch. We found a door. Bluey shouts. Bandit walks over. He looks at the spot where the door should be. A door. There's no door here, girls, just old leaves. He sweeps the leaves away. Nothing, just dirt. Bluey and Bingo exchange puzzled glances. The next day, while their parents are distracted, Bluey and Bingo return to the backyard. The door is there. It's ajar again. The whisper from inside is a little louder, more desperate. Bluey cautiously peeks inside. The staircase descends into endless darkness. Help me, cries a child's voice. I'm coming, Bluey says, and she starts to descend. Bingo grabs her paw. No, it's dangerous. But Bluey is already pulling her along. With each step down, the light from above dims. The air grows colder. The whisper from below transforms into a multi-voiced wail. It surrounds them, seemingly coming from everywhere. Bingo begins to sob. "I want to go home." Bluey turns to go back up, but the opening at the top already seems infinitely far away. A tiny speck of light. The steps they take upwards don't bring them closer to the exit. The sounds from above their parents' voices. The usual noises of the house become increasingly muffled, indistinct. They seem to dissolve. "We can't go back!" Bingo cries. Bluey feels a rising terror. The wailing from below intensifies, merging into a single mournful chorus. It presses down, envelops them. Bluey tries to scream. Her voice also sounds weak, distorted, as if it doesn't belong to her. She feels her legs growing tired. They can't go any further down, but they can't go back up either. The shadows on the stairwell walls begin to move, taking on vague, grotesque shapes. They reach out towards them. The children's voices from below turn into moans, full of despair. "We're stuck here forever," Bingo whispers. Her voice trembles. Bluey looks down. There, in the infinite darkness, she sees thousands of glowing points, thousands of eyes fixed upon them. Bluey collapses to her knees. She feels something pulling her down, not physically but mentally. Her will drains away. She hears her own voice merging with the chorus of weeping children. "Help me!" Now she too calls out. Bingo clings to her, but her grip weakens. The last ray of light from above completely vanishes. Around them is only absolute, all-consuming darkness. The endless steps continue downwards and the wailing never stops. Bluey and Bingo become part of that wailing, part of that endless descent. Their own voices now are just another echo in the bottomless void. The sunny day was slowly fading over the healer backyard, but Bluey and Bingo's lively game of shadow hunters continued. Their giggles drifted to Chili, who was sipping tea on the veranda, and to Bandit, who was wrestling with a broken garden hose. Evening shadows lengthened, casting strange dancing figures across the lawn. Suddenly, Bingo froze. Her gaze was fixed on the furthest corner of the garden, where old tree branches and thick bushes merged into a single dark mass. There, amidst the deepening twilight, something had appeared. It was a pale, hairless, unnaturally thin figure, almost translucent, as if carved from the very shadows themselves. It squatted pressed close to the ground, and two enormous empty eye sockets stared directly at the children. Bluey felt the fur on her neck prickle. This was unlike any animal they knew, unlike anything they had ever seen. It was wrong, alien. The figure didn't move, but its intense gaze felt physical, piercing through the distance, through the bushes, right into their souls. The sensation of being watched was all-consuming. Bandit, noticing his frozen daughters, approached, squinting. He peered into the spot they indicated but saw only old leaves and an overturned garden gnome. "There's nothing here, girls," he said, picking up the gnome. Bluey and Bingo exchanged uneasy glances. They knew what they had seen, and it was no gnome. The entire evening passed under a cloud of unspoken unease. The girls kept glancing out the window, trying to discern something in the darkening garden. When they finally went to bed, Bluey pressed close to Bingo. Both felt an inexplicable cold seeping through the walls of the house. Deep in the night, Bluey woke up. The room was engulfed in an icy chill, even though the window was tightly closed. She barely opened her eyes and saw it. The same figure was sitting in the corner of the room right by their bed. It squatted, its long thin limbs oddly bent, and its huge dark eyes were fixed on Bluey. Fear paralyzed Bluey. She couldn't move, couldn't make a sound. The creature was absolutely silent, yet its presence filled every corner of the room, making the air thick and suffocating. It simply watched, seemingly trying to read her thoughts, to penetrate the darkest corners of her mind. It wasn't just terrifying, it was draining, sucking all the strength from her, leaving only helplessness and panic. Bingo snored peacefully beside her, while Bluey lay unable to tear her gaze from the abyss in the creature's eyes. Time ceased to exist. Bluey didn't know how long it had been there.